So I suppose right at the very start, the first question I would like to ask is when did you first conceive this idea of putting together this package of recommendations for the United Nations, um, and just really where was the genesis of this idea?
Yeah, well, it's a catalog of draft principles that we are looking at putting forward in 2023 to the UN, and that's just a starting point, I must say. But where do we come from here? Well, we are sport, and in sport we believe in clear rules, so it's a fair play for everyone. And in ocean racing, and the ocean race in particular, our play of field is the high seas. And the high seas lacks just that, lacks a clear rule book that everyone has agreed on. And therefore, we feel that with the rule number one in our rule book in mind, and the rule number one in the rule book of sailing says that any vessel or person must help any other vessel or person that is in danger, no matter what. So we apply that principle to the ocean, and the ocean doesn't have any voice of its own. So we believe that we can contribute to this. And if you look at the planet we live on, and if you look at any piece of land, wherever you are in the world, it's claimed by someone. There is some regulation around that land. It's someone owning it, or it's governed by a certain set of legislation or rules. And we are used to that, and we need that as to be able to live on this planet in harmony within ourselves, and now more and more importantly, in harmony with nature. But the ocean lacks that. You look at any piece of water, and most of it does not have that at all. So that's where we believe in this as a starting point of what we talk about, the idea of a universal declaration of ocean rights. So and what has really stimulated us is that, you know, the ideas are good, and this was an idea that we felt was very interesting, but we thought, what do those that work with this every day for years and years back, because there's a lot of good work going on in this field already. So it's not that we have invented this need. Everyone realizes the need is there. So we thought, can we really contribute here? And to our great positive surprise, I should say, we have gotten so much support, both from the public sector, from the IGOs, from NGOs, from business, to really keep pushing for this. And the ocean race, we have probably a role to play here, just because we are independent, and again, we are having the ocean as our field of play, and nothing is like the ocean, because it's really what connects us all. There is only one ocean, so it seems to be a good fit, and we are, and the timing seems right, because now the ocean is just growing in insight. People are more and more realizing the insight that the ocean is really the big life support system on this planet.
One thing that jumped out to me at the Ocean Race Summit Europe is the fragmented nature of policy just in Europe. So we're not even talking globally here. We're talking about different policies and different ideas about how the ocean should be protected. Where do you see the Ocean Race's role in this as a convener to bring people together to discuss these issues and get more of that consensus you're talking about? What's your view on that?
Well, as you say, there is a lot of good work that has been done, for example, around nature's right. We've seen it successfully incorporated into some legal systems already. And our opportunity is, at the core, we have our sailors and the athletes of this race. They live on the ocean day in and day out. So they are credible and authentic spokespersons and advocates for the ocean. So they certainly have a role to play in promoting towards this declaration. And our partners that we work with, both cities and partner companies, they also have a key role to play because they have influence in certain matters, whether that's in industry or whether that's in politics or in policy making within their countries. And so the strength of the ocean race is that we are a network of stakeholders. So I'm part of the organization of the ocean race, but we are the coordinator or the hub, but then we have host cities, partners, teams, athletes, and it's all this mix of players that together will bring this into reality. It's not us alone by no means.
I'm really interested to find out, firstly, about the sailors' role in a bit more detail, because they're, like you say, they're the guys out on the ocean, that they're seeing all of this firsthand, and they know the ocean more intimately than probably anyone else on the planet. But also the host cities as well. It'd be really interesting to find out how you work with host cities to improve things, not just race, but do your summits and other projects.
Yeah, no, sailors have a special role because when you spend so much time out on the ocean, you get this relationship with the ocean. You care for the ocean, you respect the ocean, and you know, you at some point you come to realize that we all come from the ocean, right? And you and me, we all are made out of water. More than 95% of us is water. That's why if you lay down in the ocean, you float basically because you are water. So you're just part of it, and that subconsciously is ingrained in a person who spends so much time out on the water. So it's like a link or a friendship or something. So it's very natural. You care for the ocean if you're a sailor. That's it. And then of course the level of knowledge among sailors of what's going on below the surface varies a lot. So some people know enormous amounts of what's going on below the surface, and others knows basically what's going on above the surface with the waves and the wind and so on, which are also an important part of the ocean. So the key thing with the sailors is they are authentic, and authenticity is important if you want to drive change, because that means you won't give up. You will keep pushing until you have achieved it because you want to. I think it's important. The host cities, they are very important because they have the local perspective. And while we go to various parts of the ocean, we go into the Mediterranean, we go into the Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean, and we go into the North Sea and touch upon the Baltic Sea and so on. And there, the local solutions are very important, because there is not one solution to the problems, whether that works globally. So there's a big learning factor, what's being done in Aarhus in Denmark and how they are working with their counterparts and different stakeholders to agree on what's going to happen with the waters that they are closest to. That can be applied to what's happening in Itajaí in Brazil. Learnings can be shared from different parts of the world. So the cities are key because they bring in the local perspective.
We talked a little bit about the summits and the role that they play with it, bringing these stakeholders together. But for people who haven't seen the Ocean Race Summits, can you talk a little bit about what the summits are? And I think you've had 3 or 4 so far in this current series. Can you talk a little bit about some of the things we've learned in the past 3 or 4 summits?
Yeah, the Ocean Race Summits is a wonderful this series. This is really something that started in, I think the first one was in Newport in 2014, and then it was started with Volvo, and then following the last race 17-18 we had 6 summits, and then a new series was launched together with 11th Hour Racing, and then we set out the target that we shall work towards the idea of a universal declaration of ocean rights by 2030. So that's what the summit series ultimately are for, but they are much more than that. They also is this opportunity to present and share great solutions and inspire others. But the power of the summit series is that it's an ongoing series with a global footprint. and we take it's so they are not one-offs, one lead to another, and we take the learnings from one summit to next one, and they are set up so there's the summit or the plenary, you could call it, and then there are a number of action labs around these summits where specific issues are being discussed. And of course, what we've really seen is that the summit series have the ability to really gather some pretty strong leaders, both from business and the public sector. And that's very positive, for instance, that the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, was part of the Ocean Race Summit Europe that we did in June now, when she launched that European Union will set up a new international ocean agenda, for instance. So I think it's we are a global organization, and we are used to connect countries via water, and we connect people, and we are the platform for them, and we do this, as I said, now with 11th hour racing, and in a wonderful way. We're going to take it to the end.
You mentioned that Ursula von der Leyen was at the previous summit, and you had some very high profile speakers from many parts of the world, particularly in Europe, because it was mainly a European summit. Having that caliber of people speaking, does that showcase not just the position of the ocean race in helping to push forward policy for sustainability, but does that indicate that sport in generally can play a more broader role in this conversation?
I think all of what you're saying is right, and I think sports has this ability to inspire. So spontaneously, people like to think that this is a sport that's good to engage with because it's positive. But what I've also felt over the years is that many people, and maybe more so in the public sector, they feel that sport, that's leisure. It's not that it's good for health in society, but it's not really hardcore. So I must say that we are positively surprised is not the right word, but we see positively that the ocean race is getting great support from the public sector now, and I think it is because of all the good work that's been done over the past 5-10 years, and our credible and authentic platform that we have with the high seas being our field of play. And of course, we spend an enormous amount of time, and we work very hard on this, and we have great partners that we're working with on this, and ranging from 11th hour racing and Julius Nordan, Volvo Cars, and many others that are with us in all our cities. So it's teamwork.
We've talked about sailors and cities. We talked about 11th hour racing being the principal partner for the summits. But how do you work with your other commercial partners to to work towards these sustainability and environmental goals? What kind of role do they play beyond just sponsoring the race, for example?
So each partner, whether that's a city or a company, they have their own strategy and their own goals, and their own sustainability strategy. And what we can do is amplify what they are already doing. So it's not that they change maybe their strategies. They try to see what we are doing fits in, and how do we support what they are already doing. And when we select partners, we really evaluate what are they striving for, what are they working for, and is there a fit? And of course, do we share the same sort of core values as well? But when we go to those cities, it's very important for us to know, all right, if the ocean race comes to you, how will you use that to amplify what you are doing and to enhance what you're doing? And that changes because it's local. One city are doing this, another city is doing that. One company is doing this, another company is doing that. Of course, our main target are ocean related, but core cities that we go to are linked to the ocean, but they also have local matters around transport and energy and so on that they need to address.
It's really interesting you mentioned a relationship like that, because I think what you're talking about here is being of service to these organizations and these cities to try and help them achieve their goals rather than setting them a list of targets that you expect as the ocean race. It'd be interesting to find out how you talked about looking at partners and looking at certain criteria and their strategy and seeing how you can help them. Um, how do you go about that in practice? Do you evaluate a list of potential organizations or host cities and look at their sustainability targets and then kind of make a short list of who you could potentially partner with? How does that work in practice? Because that's really interesting approach.
It's kind of it's a selection of candidate cities, and then in the selection process, it's defined and analyzed where is this city going and how far have they reached, and is it really so that now they're going to embark with the ocean race coming. So we want to have an impact, so we don't go to city if they're not going to use this platform to create an impact and accelerate what they're already doing or starting new things. So it is just part of the selection process. It's not more difficult than that.
Last question, Richard. I know that you've got a number of summits coming up. Can you give us a bit of an idea of some of the topics that you'll be looking at, and how they will help towards putting these draft principles together in a couple of years' time?
Well, of course, ocean rights is a big one for us, and climate is at the forefront, definitely, and also in general, ocean management, I would say, is a big one for us. And those are the topics that and then we go into local topics wherever we go.